The Zarkathi warfleet hung in the void like a constellation of death, their crystalline vessels glinting with the reflected light of distant stars. Commander Velrax stood upon the observation deck of the flagship Eternal Dominion, his three eyes fixed upon the strategic display before him. For 2 cycles, his armada had swept through the outer colonies of the Terran Commonwealth, meeting little resistance. The humans, he had concluded, were soft, weak, unworthy of the resources they hoarded. "Commander," his tactical officer chirped, mandibles clicking with excitement. "We've detected a single vessel approaching. Human designation. A battleship." Velrax's central eye narrowed. "One ship? Against our entire fleet?" He released a sound that approximated laughter among his kind. "These humans grow desperate. Prepare to..." The sensor array erupted with warnings. Aboard the TCNS Daisy's Revenge, Captain Oscar Chen stood on the command deck, hands clasped behind his back. The bridge crew worked in practiced silence around him, their faces betraying no emotion despite the impossible odds displayed on every screen. 300 Zarkathi warships versus 1 human battleship. The mathematics were simple. The outcome was not. "Captain." Lieutenant Daisy Rodriguez called from her station at Tactical, her fingers dancing across holographic interfaces. "All weapons systems online. Reactor at 110%. The old girl's purring like a kitten. Oscar allowed himself a thin smile. Daisy had been with him since the Revenge launched 5 years ago, and in that time, she'd become the finest tactical officer in the fleet. More importantly, she understood what this ship truly represented. "Range to enemy fleet?" Oscar asked. 30,000 kilometers and closing, Daisy replied. "They're not even raising shields yet, sir. I think they're laughing at us." "Let them laugh," Oscar said quietly. "Helm, full stop. Right here. This is our line." The Daisy's Revenge came to rest in the void, alone against an armada. Across the gulf of space, Velrax watched with predatory satisfaction as the human vessel simply stopped. "They surrender already?" His tactical officer wondered aloud. "No," Velrax said, studying the ship's profile on his display. It was massive, certainly larger than his own flagship, but it was just one ship. They're making a stand. How quaint. How utterly futile. "All vessels maintain approach vector. Let's show these humans what happens when..." His words died in his throat. The human battleship had begun to unfold. End of 5. Unfold. Unfold. End of 5. Unfold. "Transformation sequence initiated," Daisy announced, her voice steady despite the adrenaline singing through her veins. "Armor plates retracting. Primary weapons emerging. Core systems redistributing." Oscar watched through the viewscreen as the Revenge revealed her true nature. What the Zarkathi had assumed was a simple battleship was, in fact, a mobile weapons platform of such devastating potential that the Terran Commonwealth kept only 3 in active service. The outer hull peeled back like the petals of a metal flower, exposing hundreds of weapon emplacements that had been hidden beneath. Rail cannons the size of apartment buildings extended from rotating turrets. Missile pods containing thousands of warheads spread across the vessel's flanks like the quills of some prehistoric beast. And at the ship's heart, visible now through the crystalline dome that had emerged from the center of the transformation, pulsed the azure glow of a singularity reactor, a miniature black hole contained and controlled, feeding power to weapon systems that could crack planets. "Sir," Daisy said, and there was something almost apologetic in her voice. "Target acquisition complete. I have firing solutions on all 300 enemy vessels." "All of them?" Oscar asked, though he already knew the answer. "All of them, sir." Simultaneously. On the Eternal Dominion, silence had fallen like a shroud. Every Zarkathi on the bridge stared at the transformation occurring before them, their confident chatter dying away as understanding dawned terrible. Complete understanding. "Commander," the tactical officer whispered, his voice hollow. Energy readings from that vessel they're off the scale. That's not a battleship. That's a dreadnought, Velrax finished, his voice barely audible. A human dreadnought. But even that designation felt inadequate as more data flooded his screens. The ship before them wasn't just a dreadnought. It was something beyond their comprehension, a weapon system so advanced and so powerful that his entire fleet, which had seemed so mighty mere moments ago, was suddenly revealed as nothing more than targets in a shooting gallery. "Retreat!" Velrax screamed. "All vessels, emergency FTL, scatter pattern Omega. Retreat!" But it was too late. "Captain?" Daisy asked, her finger hovering over the firing control. "Orders, sir?" Oscar stared at the Zarkathi fleet, watching as they scrambled to flee, their vessels turning in panic. He thought of the colonies they had burned, the outposts they had destroyed, the civilian transports they had vaporized without mercy. 17,000 human souls, snuffed out because the Zarkathi had deemed them weak. "Fire," Oscar said. The Daisy's revenge unleashed hell. Space itself seemed to tear apart as thousands of weapons fired simultaneously. Railgun rounds crossed the distance in seconds, each projectile carrying the kinetic force of a small nuclear weapon. Missiles streaked out in swarms so dense they appeared as solid streams of light. And from the dreadnought's main cannon powered directly by the Singularity reactor, a beam of concentrated gravitational energy lanced forward, warping space-time itself. The Zarkathi fleet died in silence, as all things die in the void. Ships crumpled like paper. Crystalline hulls shattered into clouds of glittering debris. Entire squadrons vanished in blooms of white-hot plasma. In 17 seconds, 1 second for every 1,000 humans they had killed, the Zarkathi armada ceased to exist. Only the Eternal Dominion remained, its engines damaged, its weapons offline. Velrax stood alone on his bridge, his crew having fled to the escape pods. He watched as the human dreadnought approached, its hull plates folding back into place, concealing once more the weapons that had wrought such devastation. A communication channel opened. Captain Oscar Chen's face appeared on Velrax's screen. "You wanted to know if humans were weak," Oscar said, his voice carrying no triumph, only weariness. "You wanted to test us. Now you know. We gave you mercy by stopping with your flagship. Go home, Velrax. Tell your people what you saw here. Tell them that humanity tried peace, and you chose war. Tell them about the Daisy's revenge, and tell them that we have 2 more just like her." The channel closed. The dreadnought turned and began its journey back to Terran space, leaving the Eternal Dominion adrift among the wreckage of the fleet that had thought humanity weak. In that moment, the Zarkathi had learned what the rest of the galaxy would soon discover. Humanity had earned its place among the stars, not through aggression, but through the simple, terrifying capability to end any aggression directed at them. The age of testing humanity was over. The age of respecting them had begun. End.